Okay, we'll call to order. Thank you for waiting. We do have a quorum, so the first thing on our agenda tonight is a motion for rehearing of ZBA case 1801. This is a closed discussion. We won't take any comments from the floor. This is an internal ZBA thing. So, has everybody had a chance to, you guys had a chance to read the letter from the selectmen?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so there was a request for a rehearing from the Board of Selectmen on the grounds that no substantive discussion took place regarding the spirit of the ordinance and substantial justice, and the hardship criteria was not dealt with adequately. Do you need a second to read it?
Yeah.
Okay. So my understanding in the case of request for rehearing, it is basically if there is some that the ZBA may have made a mistake, or that there is new evidence that was not available at the original hearing. So those are the, I guess, the two things that we need to discuss. So the issue was that there was a request to add a second residential unit into the general commercial
Are we supposed to
zone.
just decide on rehearing, or are we supposed
Yes.
to discuss?
So we need to discuss what, do we want to have a rehearing? Do we feel that we may have missed something, or not covered each of the 5 criteria in enough detail? Do you have comments?
Went through the minutes and thinking back on that meeting, I think they bring up good points. That there may not have been enough discussion about the individual 5 criteria.
So, from my perspective, I think I come from an area that had far stricter zoning ordinances than Tilton has. And I think I talked myself into what he could and could not do as far as business opportunities, given his location to the school. And I looked at the land use chart, and there are significant, like, oh, you wouldn't want to be a shop, that's what we kind of talked about. But it wasn't, it didn't, like, there's a dentist office right next door, and there's a rug dealership right there as well. So I'm not sure I didn't make a error in using the context from my previous life in this. What do you think, Eric?
No, I was probably the one that talked about the weight shops.
I can remember if it was me or not.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Part of me says, well, it's not unique because if you take that row of buildings, 6-7 buildings, at the far east end of that left side, if you're looking at it from the road, there's a jewelry shop that has a resident, which is a business. But I think it's because it's not allowed to have 2 residences.
It's because, yeah, it's that residence was grandfathered in, is my understanding, and that in the commercial industry, commercial district, they're looking for, like, you're not supposed to.
To allow for a second dwelling where residential uses are not permitted.
Right, so even though those ones are, yeah, so even though there are some residents along with businesses along that strip, the spirit of the ordinance would be, it's commercial, is there, and how do you deal with that?
I think from what I remember from the meeting, that the decision was, it was a business, this apartment or this section of the building
Yeah, it was
was
a
business.
shuttle, yeah.
Yeah, it was a business. They left, and he was under the impression he would not.
Thanks.
It would not be easy for him to get another business in there, so he has to get the variance to go to the residence.
Right.
And we moved pretty quickly in that direction, I thought, in the discussions.
Yeah.
And I think that, I feel that needs more discussion, that needs more work, because there probably could be other businesses that would easily fit within those constraints. We don't know.
Yeah.
And I think we easily moved in that direction of, it couldn't be more difficult to be a hardship, so I think that's what happened.
Okay.
So.
Do you have anything?
Just think of, bring the planning board into this, and we just recently approved the resident to the business in the downtown district.
That must have not come to the, needed a
No,
zone change,
but
so.
I just,
So the question on the board is not, right now is just whether we should rehear it as far as do the selectmen make sufficient evidence that it should have additional discussion and we can decide whether we want to open the whole thing up or just focus on certain criteria versus that, or they don't bring up sufficient, because all the discussion you're talking about would be part of the rehearing. Huh?
I did bring up good points, but I also think that we discuss things.
It's more of, could we have made an error? Yeah, I know. And that's why, I mean, they brought
Well, if we
the,
rehear it, we don't have to change our mind.
that's true. That's true.
Or we would satisfy them. If we open it to rehearing, is there additional testimony, or we just limited to the testimony that we've had?
I'm gonna defer to Dari. Can you-
Sure, yeah, and so, yes, Eric, indeed, your decision tonight is not a final decision on the case, it's whether to have another hearing, so that's exactly right. There's a, I won't make you read this right now, because it's 5 pages, but here's some information about motions for rehearing, and then if the motion is granted, how rehearings kind of, the lay of the land. And basically, a lot of that document right there talks about the fact that the zoning board has broad leeway to determine what the parameters of that rehearing will be. And my thought, maybe the easiest way to do it is just treat it as like you would an original hearing, and just notice it. Anyone who has standing, anyone butter can speak. They can present whatever information they want. It doesn't matter whether it could have been presented a month ago, and that way you don't have to set any additional parameters. However, a zoning board has the option of saying, we feel good about almost the entire process except for this one piece, and so we want to focus the rehearing on this one piece. So you have those options.
To just further, can you close it to testimony, or is once you decide you're going to have a rehearing, you need to open it up to testimony, additional testimony?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a significant problem with having a hearing and not hearing anyone. So
Okay.
The advice that I got was the rehearing is a hearing of the ZBA, so I would not say that the board can restrict the applicant of other butters or other affected interested parties from speaking, but sometimes the rehearing will be focused on just a particular aspect of the case and not rehearing the entire case.
Okay.
So it's either, basically, to sum it up, it's either all, redo everything, or it's we choose which part we want to rediscuss or reevaluate, whatever. And that's where we move from here.
So we would need to first, I think, vote to rehear it, and then make a decision as to whether,
How we're going to, what we're going to do with it.
yeah.
Does it sound right?
Mm-hmm.
I move that we do proceed with a rehearing of the ZBA case 1801.
Do I have a second? We'll second it for discussion, is that what you think?
Yeah.
Okay. So, does that mean that you'd like to have more discussion about the rehearing, or we will move ahead with the rehearing
Well,
after a
I guess,
vote,
I guess
and then
do we
rediscuss?
had decided to have a rehearing,
Yeah,
and do we have to establish what type of rehearing we're gonna have at this point, or do we make the vote and then decide?
No, I think I would advise that, I think what these two are suggesting is break it up. Decide whether you're gonna have a rehearing, and then you should, I think, at this meeting, set some kind of parameters so that the abutter notices and whatnot we send out can make it clear what the rehearing is based on. It's confined to. I think what Eric was saying by second for discussion is that once you've seconded a motion, then you bring it up for discussion. So he's saying he's seconding for the sake of
Okay.
bringing it to the next stage.
So we don't have to vote at this point, but.
Well, I mean, he's.
As far as I'm
there's no
concerned.
discussion.
I mean, they're getting along, I mean, I'm still,
You know, I was out in the hall when you guys started this, so please let me know if there are any questions you have. I think you went through what the points in the letter were, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
Do you feel that they bring up valid points that it would be beneficial at least to discuss it? Meaning, at a later time?
The decision doesn't necessarily mean that, I mean.
no, and I just, there's a history between the town and the board.
So,
And I'm,
so my thing is, I don't have a history.
no, I know, but.
And
I'm
Jim
just-
doesn't have a history either.
No, I know. But, you know, I just.
I mean, there's a history, there should be a history.
Right.
It's-
No, no, no,
they're
no.
two
There was another
entities
case that they
working
requested
close.
a rehearing, and that's it.
Well, that's, yeah, I mean, I don't know,
And I just, you know,
From my perspective, I feel that, you know, it doesn't hurt if I've made a mistake. I'd like to know that I've perhaps not done my due diligence. And it could be that, from my perspective, once we go through it, the decision could stay the same, or it could not. I mean,
all right, let's have a rehearing.
well, shall
No,
we
just-
vote?
we know his vote.
Just, I guess, yeah.
Sounds like you're ready to vote.
I guess
All right.
that's
All right, all those in favor of a rehearing signify by saying aye. Aye, okay. So we will rehear 1801. I assume that'll be next month.
Well, if the guidance says 30 days, if you went to the next meeting, it would be slightly over 30 days. I think that it would be fine. However, if folks could meet, I think the first Tuesday in June, then it would be within the 30 days. And then you wouldn't have to at all worry about it in any way.
Okay.
But again, I would expect that, 30 days is intended to kind of, mean a month. And if you meet every month, and
Right,
you say you're gonna do it at the next meeting, that's, I think, well within
Okay.
reason.
So it would be like 31, 32 days?
Less than 30, less than 40 anyway. I'm not sure the exact number it is.
Would that meet the spirit of that ordinance?
Right,
Really
exactly.
30,
I think it would.
today's 15, so 1, 2, 3, it'll be 34 days.
34 days.
wait till the next meeting. So,
Without-
all
without
right,
breaking any laws, any rules, any.
I suppose we're not relying on continuation of notice. If you guys want to establish that as the date for tonight, I'll double check with, legal counsel, make sure. I suppose the possibility if the property owner himself, is really under the gun, he might have an issue with going over 30 days. But again, since we're not relying on tonight's date, being notification to folks, we're gonna send out notices. If it changes, I can contact you guys and address that.
okay. All right,
So, sorry, so you have, for now, we're planning on doing it next week.
okay. And so, on the table right now is the scope of the rehearing. I mean, the simplest is just to open it up. Or we can address exactly what the selectmen kind of put forward.
My thought was to reevaluate the 5 criteria as an internal discussion.
Okay, that actually was pounded in during that conference I went to. 5 criteria, you have 5 criteria.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
I mean, the evidence that was presented, I thought.
It's not gonna change.
Yeah, that's
Right.
the
So-
reasoning for it and so forth.
So go through it with the, the scope being where we'll address each of the 5 criteria. Okay. Is that sufficient?
As an internal discussion.
As an
Not
internal.
open public comment.
So I think that we would have to let the, Doug,
The applicant.
I think
yeah, just at least provide testimony
I
if he
think-
wants to.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
But, you know, that little blurb I just read from, you know, the rehearing is a hearing of
Yeah.
the ZBA, so I would not say the board can restrict the applicant, abutters, or other
Yeah.
affected interest parties from speaking. So you somehow have to let people speak, you have to let
Right.
people speak. And I think kind of, but sometimes rehearing will be focused on just a particular aspect of the case and not rehearing the entire case. To me, that suggests that if someone starts going off on a tangent, the board can just sort of reel the person back in and say,
Focus on the
just
subject.
want to
Yeah.
remind you, yeah.
Okay, all right,
If you could make a motion on that, that would be great.
okay.
Motion that we, in rehearing ZBA case 1801, we structure it to the discussion of the 5 criteria.
Question, will we have any new board members? I can't remember. For some reason, why didn't think we were getting a new board member? Maybe. Oh, okay.
I don't know.
All right, never mind. All right, never mind. I'll second
All in favor?
it. Aye.
Aye, okay,
Okay, great.
all right.
Sorry.
All right, no, that's all right, that's all right.
Could
I
we
mean,
take a 5 to 7 minute recess, please? I'm trying to figure out where we're gonna go from here for tonight as far as the fact that we only have 3 members for this next case.
Okay, so if we would open it up, if we cannot find another board member?
What's that, for tonight?
We would offer it up, yeah.
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
you would
okay.
you'd offer the
All right.
option of not going forward tonight, so yeah.
Okay.
So we'll potentially, I'll just inform folks here, without a motion from a ZBA requires 3 affirmative votes. It doesn't matter how many ZBA members are in attendance. So in this case, where we only have 3 members in attendance, essentially the burden upon the applicant is much higher. He has to get everyone. Whereas if there were 5 members here, he only has to get 60% of them. So in cases like this, we offer the applicant an opportunity to continue to a future hearing. So that may happen. We just need a little bit of time to sort of figure out whether, for one, figure out if we can get any other ZBA members here tonight, and then 2, to give the applicant a chance to make up his, to figure things out. So that's,
Kind of have a point of order. In that little 5-minute window that we have, can I have a word with the abutters?
that's.
You can
it's-
talk to
That's,
You can talk to
Is
them,
that- Okay.
I mean,
as far as I'm concerned.
right, yeah, I'm
You're
also
welcome.
up the
You're
video
welcome
and
to.
everyone speak to who you wish and,
Okay.
yeah.
So does it keep rolling, or you should?
I'm gonna turn off the camera
Okay.
for this portion, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the next order of business is ZBA case 1802. Because there are only 3 board members in attendance, we allow the applicant to choose whether they want to move ahead or to continue it to the next meeting.
So may I come forward?
Yes, you may.
First of all, my name's Harry Seidel, and I'm representing Mike Snedeker and the previous and the current owners. And this was a hearing that I was asked to present for them because Mike is on holiday. And this came to me pretty much at the last minute. His schedule, he couldn't be here. So I really think that given the fact that we have 4 abutters that have concerns, and there's only 3 board members here, it would be reckless for me to rush into this. So it would be better for my client that we prepare better and come before a full board.
Okay.
So I hate to send you home, but it just, we really should come back
Okay.
in this case.
Okay, so case 1802 will be continued to next month.
All right, and
Okay.
Yeah.
we'll have to renotice anyway, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, thank
Well,
you very
thanks for
much.
coming.
And there's extra copies of the criteria, yeah, for your other board members. Oh, you have them here?
Yep.
Well, I guess, do you want me to take those away, or it's just more paper?
No, because the board, Yeah, whatever you want to do. I would just keep them for the board members who aren't here tonight, but
Then you keep
whatever
them.
you want to do.
That's
People are
perfect.
welcome to them if you want. You can print more. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
I do have a question, because it's, I noticed this was added, is there gonna be any other, drawings or materials provided?
I think that I will come back with some photographs of the building. I don't know if the board has had a chance to do a site visit, but I was surprised that there weren't actually photos already submitted with the project. I think it's important that they be in. This drawing you see here, it occurred to me that this project is an apartment on the second floor, and there's going to be a need for a second means of egress. So I wanted to show how a stair could be configured that would be minimal and graceful. So I just threw that together.
Okay.
It's going the wrong way. The door's going to have to be on the other side, so I may make a mirror image of that.
So basically, there's more information to
There
come.
may be more information coming up. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
So then next month, we have a date. Is it always the third?
I'm thinking the 19th, does that sound right?
The third, yeah, that sounds right. The
19th, yeah.
22nd is a Friday, yeah.
Okay.
I just have to be careful because I'm in the zoning board in London.
No.
All right, so it's the
Okay.
19th?
19th,
19th, okay.
yep.
34 days from today.
Thank you
thanks.
for that bit of information.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And sorry,
Sure.
Those are for your extra board.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Have a good night. Drive safe.
Okay. Thanks a
lot.
Home, everybody.
Good night.
Okay, so,
Sorry, it wasn't as exciting for your first meeting.
No, no, ZBA week just meets once a month. Oh, yeah, we were talking about possibly convening on the first Tuesday if we needed to meet.
It's not related.
The meeting for this is the 19th.
Okay, and
We
there'll
won't
be a
do anything
notice.
with this case again.
And there'll be a notice that's sent to us?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay.
Good night.
Finished. Well, we have to approve the minutes. So, we'll look at them. And was there any
I don't have
comments?
any issues. Actually,
It's-
that's reading that. I did, when after I read their, planning board.
Oh,
Oh.
you mean the select board letter?
Select board,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
After I learned their letter, I read the minutes, and I'm like, okay.
yeah.
Okay, can I have a,
Motion to approve the minutes of April 17th.
do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Minutes are approved. Is there any other correspondence?
No.
Is there any other business?
No.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We are, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Vote with your feet.
Okay.
Vote with your feet.
We could have met upstairs tonight after all. That's
Oh,
okay. I
but
kind
you
of
never-
like coming down here sometimes. What do you guys think?
Was there something upstairs?
I think there was another meeting that started at 7 and we weren't sure that we'd be able to finish.